Okay, so for our Newport Beanie, we're using the same colors we did for the cowl. So I've got Ivory and Spice. The Spice, of course, is going to be our ribbing, and the Ivory will be the main body. And then we're going to use the leftover Spice to make a fun little pom-pom for the top. So for the hat, we're going to size down a hook. We're going to use a 4mm, if I can find it. Here we go. Our 4mm hook for the ribbing, because I find that crochet hats tend to stretch an awful lot. So we want our band to be a little bit tighter with some negative ease in there because it will stretch out over time. And then we're going to move up to, I think, a 5mm for the main body of the hat, just as we used on the cowl, to give you a little bit of extra room and to make it as slouchy as you want it to be. We'll also need a pair of scissors and a tapestry needle, and later on I'm going to show you my pom-pom maker. If you don't have a pom-pom maker, I highly recommend getting them. They save you so much time and they're so easy to use. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so with our contrasting color, which I'm using the Spice colorway, and our 4mm crochet hook, we're going to start the ribbing same as we did with the cowl. If you've watched the cowl tutorial, we want to put a slip knot on our hook, and then we want to chain 11. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, and then into the second chain from the hook, we're going to single crochet starting there, and then single crochet in each chain all the way across. So we're just making a simple single crochet ribbing to match the rest of the Newport set. And if you haven't already, make sure you check out the Newport cowl tutorial as well. Okay, we're on our last 2 stitches of row 1. Okay, so then rows 2 through 72, we're going to chain 1, turn, and work a single crochet into the back loop only all the way across. Okay, so we're just going to repeat row 2 until we have 72 rows of ribbing. Okay, so now that we have our 72 rows, we're going to chain 1, and then we want to bring the other end up to our working end, making sure that you don't twist it. And we're going to slip stitch our ends together. And I like to go through the back loop only on the working row, and then just through those chain stitches of the beginning row. And just slip stitch all the way across. So here's our last stitch here. Okay, and then we're going to switch to our 5mm hook, and we want to turn our ribbing right side out. And then we're going to join our main color, the ivory color, right here. And how I like to do it for this is just pull the new yarn through, and then we're going to chain 3, and then pull on the ribbing yarn until it kind of disappears into the rest of the ribbing. Okay, so here's our chain 3, and what we want to do is we want to double crochet into each one of the row ends as we go. So for the hat, the chain 3 is not going to count as a stitch, but we want to double crochet into each row end all the way around. And you should end up with 72 double crochets at the end of this first round. And we're going to be working in joined rounds. We are not going to turn at the end of the round. So just continue to work your double crochet stitches into the edge of every row of ribbing. Okay, so we're almost to the last stitch here. That's 72. And then we're going to skip over the chain 3 and we're going to slip stitch into the top of our first stitch to join. Okay, and now we're going to move on to one of our bobble rows where we have our double crochet 3 cluster. So we're going to chain 1 and single crochet into the same stitch as the join and into the next 2 single crochets. And then we're going to work our 3 double crochet cluster. So we are going to yarn over, insert a hook into the stitch, yarn over and draw up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, and then we repeat that step 2 more times. Then yarn over and draw through 3, yarn over, draw through 2. And then we're going to single crochet in the next 5. And after that first single crochet, you can just kind of use your finger to poke that bobble to the front. It should be like poking out at you. There's 4 and 5. So 5 single crochets and then another 3 double crochet cluster. And we're just going to repeat that all the way around until we have 2 stitches remaining. Okay, so I'm finished at my last cluster there, and then we'll end with 2 single crochet in those last 2 stitches, and then slip stitch to the top of the first stitch to join. Then we'll do our next bobble row. So we're going to chain 3, or sorry, our next double crochet row. So chain 3, and then you want to double crochet into that same stitch as your join, and in each stitch all the way around. Okay, so here we are with our last 2 double crochet, and then we will slip stitch into the top of that first double crochet to join, chain 1, and now we're doing our next row of bobbles. This time we're starting our bobble right into this join, so in the same stitch as the join. And then again, single crochet 5, and make sure that you push the cluster out towards you. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, and then work another 3 double crochet cluster. I know I keep calling them bobbles too, but it does look like a little bobble. And then again, single crochet for 5, and we're going to repeat that all the way around. So we're working on our last few single crochet stitches here. And then we want to slip stitch to the top of that bobble stitch to join. Okay, so now we're going to work another double crochet row. So chain 3, double crochet into that same stitch as the join, and in each stitch all the way around. And then when you get to the end, just like before, we're going to slip stitch to the top of that first double crochet to join. And then what we want to do is we want to keep repeating rows 2 through 5 until the hat measures what you feel is appropriate for your head. I like to do about 9 to 10 inches from the bottom of the band, but you can adjust that depending on how high your head is and what kind of fit you want your hat to have. So I'll go ahead and meet you back here once you've worked up those repeats, enough repeats that fit your head. And you want to end on one of these double crochet rows, and then I'll show you how to close up the top of your hat. Okay, so we've just finished up all of our repeats. We've repeated rows 2 through 5 3 more times, ending with a row 5 repeat. And now we're going to do a little bit of shaping before we close up our hat. So this next row, we're going to do single crochets in each stitch all the way around. So instead of doing our bobble stitches this round, we're just doing single crochets. So just continue to work 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around. Okay, so this is our last single crochet, and then we want to slip stitch to that first single crochet to join. So our next round is double crochets. So we're going to work 3 chain stitches to start, and then we're going to double crochet right into that same stitch as the join, and 1 double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. And then we're going to work a double crochet 2 together. So yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, and then yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through all 3. Then we're going to double crochet for 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and work another double crochet 2 together. And then we're going to repeat that all the way around our hat. And that's just going to bring the top a little bit closer, kind of more like the shape of your head before we close it all up. So there's our last decrease, and then again slip stitch to that first double crochet to join. So now we're ready to close up the top of our hat. So what you'll want to do is you want to fasten off, but you want to leave quite a long tail for sewing. And then I like to use a blunt tapestry needle to close up my hat. And what you want to do is lay it down so that your join is like right in the center when you lay your hat down flat. So I'm going to grab my large tapestry needle, and then using the long tail that you left behind, we're going to sew the top of the hat together. And I like to do it a specific way. If you'd rather just kind of zigzag around and cinch, you can do that too, but I find that this method works really well and holds up well over time. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring our needle through the other side of the hat and then go through both again, front to back. And what that does is it makes two loops for our hat. So then we want to fold our hat in half the other way so that our two loops are cut in half again, and try to get them as evenly as possible. But you're basically just bringing the center of those two loops together, and then you want to go through all parts here where they join together. And I usually go through twice, and that's going to create, now we have 4 loops in the top of our hat. So then we do the same thing. We want to bring the center of each loop into the center of the hat. And this one I like to do just 1 loop at a time. Helps me get better control. So we just kind of work our way around, bringing the center of each one of those loops to the center of our hat, or I guess the top. Got some hair in there. Okay, so here's our last of those 4 loops. Make sure it's nice and secure. And that's going to leave us with now 8 loops at the top of our hat. And now for each of these 8 loops, we want to bring the center of each of those loops into the center of the hat. But what I like to do is kind of bring it down into the actual hat. So I put my left hand inside, and I can use my fingers to kind of open up those loops so I know where all of them are. And it helps to count as you go, because sometimes the loops can get a little bit hidden here. There we go. Okay. So just starting with whatever loop you want, I go in from the inside of the loop to the outside with my yarn, and then I'm going to bring that needle down through the center of the hat and pull that tight. And then I'll move to the next loop, making sure it's the next loop because they do kind of get hidden. And again, bring your needle from the inside of the loop out, and then draw your needle down through the center of the hat to the inside and secure it. And we just keep going around until we have all 8 loops secured to the center of the hat. So this is number 3, I believe, if I'm counting correctly. Here's 4. But this gives us a nice, super secure top and close to our hat, and gives us a nice spot for our pom-pom later on. This, I believe, is number 5. And 6. Two more. Number 7. And our last one here, number 8. Bring that down. And then at the end, I'll tie a knot inside with my yarn and then weave it into the wrong side. But here you can see we've got this nice spot here. It's great for if you like removable pom-poms. I usually would put a snap here and then a snap on the other, like the other side of the snap on the pom-pom, so you can easily remove them. But it also gives us like a nice flatter base here for the pom-pom to sit. But then you can kind of see if we lay our hat out flat, it's all nice and rounded up here at the top and cinched together and ready to wear. So all we'll need to do is weave in all of those ends, and then I will show you how to create a pom-pom using a pom-pom maker. Okay, so to make a pom-pom, I'm going to be using this Clover pom-pom maker. I feel like these help a lot to make a pom-pom quick and easy. So you just pull one side out. There's 2 pieces to each side. And then you take your yarn, we're using the spice color as our contrasting color for our pom, and you just start wrapping it around, making sure you're going around both of these pieces. And we just keep wrapping as evenly as possible all the way around. And we want to end up filling up and making this as thick as possible. The more yarn we use, the thicker our pom-pom will be and the more full and round it will be. And we won't have to trim off as much at the end. So I like to fill it to the point where this is almost flat against here. So just keep wrapping it around and around and around until you get it all the way full. Okay, so once it's about this full, you're just gonna close it. It should be kind of tight in there because you want these ends at the top to kind of hold your yarn in place. And then we can pull out the other side and we'll just repeat that process on this side as well. Okay, so now that both sides are done, you'll see how the 2 pieces of each side are split. We want to start there and start cutting, kind of feel for that split between the 2 pieces, and we're just going to cut all the way around our pom-pom. So it's nice to have a good pair of little sharp scissors so you can really get in there and cut all the way through on both sides. Okay, then we want to grab a long piece of the yarn for tying it all together. And we want to put this through both sides of the pom-pom maker. You want it to go like down in between. And then we're going to tie some knots. want to tie it tightly. So get it as tight as you can. And I like to do it kind of like on one side. And then wrap it around and knot on the other side as well. Because this yarn is what's going to hold all these little strands that we've cut together. So once you've tied your knots, you're going to keep these long tails because this is how you're going to attach the pom-pom to your hat. But then we can open up both sides. And then you just separate it. And then kind of just give your pom-pom a little shake. And you can see it's not 100% perfect. Mine's a little oblong. It needs to be trimmed, obviously. And the more you take off, the more dense the pom-pom's going to look. So just take your scissors, take your time with this. I do recommend doing it over a trash can, so don't do what I'm doing now and just start cutting. But you'll want to trim down your pom-pom until you have it as round as you like, or the shape that you would like. And you can kind of give it a shake every now and then to make sure all those pieces of yarn are sticking straight up, ready for their little haircut. Okay, so once you get your pom-pom pretty much how you want it, mine's pretty round. I could probably trim a little bit more off, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you how I will attach it to the top of the hat. So we have our two long tails here, and I'm just gonna use my little crochet hook, and I'm gonna draw each tail down into the hat. Kind of on opposite sides of each other. So that it's kind of tight and secure there. And then it's up to you if you want to keep it removable or if you want to like permanently attach it. I'm just going to tie a tight bow here. But you could tie a knot and then you could weave those long ends into the main body of the hat if you want it to be more permanently attached. But we'll just do a tight bow, kind of throw the ends back in there so you can see it's not going to go anywhere. And now we have a super cute, oh my gosh, I'm still shedding from my pom-pom, a super cute hat with a little pom-pom on top. So I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. Again, you can find the complete written pattern for free on the blog or the written pattern in my shop, along with a complete kit from Lion Brand Yarn. And the kit will include all the yarn you need to make the hat, the cowl, and the fingerless mitts. So go ahead and check those out through the links in the description below. And then don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a thing.